Well, finally, after 13 years, my Boulevards of Splendor album is coming out on CD through Ingram Music. Steve Harkin, who is the president of the company, listened to the record and just knew that it was really worthy. I'm furious with Kenny Laguna and Joan Jett because this album was finished just 3 months basically after I opened for Joan. Joan heard the record. She knew it was great. Huh?
2010.
Right. And, me opening for her, I won Best Performance of the Year for a half-an-hour set opening for Joan. And it was such a monumental night because Joan, she brings in like a quarter. It's a big venue, about a quarter of the people. But when both of us did it, it sold out. And after I opened for her, I never worked again with Blackheart. And they took my record and they shelved it for 10 years. 10 years and let me sit and do nothing. And Kenny was my manager. I signed a management contract with Kenny Laguna, and I'd also gotten another record deal through Matt Sorm, and Matt wanted to go with this other label, but Kenny was saying, we need to protect you, I'm your manager. And the thing is that so I talked him into Blackheart. It was the biggest mistake of my life. I haven't talked to Joan about it because the thing is that I just don't care to anymore. She knows exactly what happened. She knows that they shelved my record for a decade. And for somebody that had to struggle like she did in the beginning and be turned down by so many record companies and to where she would start her own, she's the last person I thought would ever do this to me. But you know what? And I told Kenny, I said, I'm 50 years old. I said, every year is like 5 years now. I'm not a kid anymore. Please don't make me wait anymore. Please put the record out. It's finished. We had the photo, the cover. Nothing. He goes, well, it's all about timing. I said, well, it's been 3 years now, Kenny. 4 years, 5 years. What about the timing now? Now it's just fuck you. That's what it is now.
Right.
They took away the best album that I've ever made in my life, the album I've always wanted to make, with some of the best people in the business. And I have no clue. I didn't have a problem with them. They had a problem with putting out my fucking record is what they had. I didn't have a problem.
Yeah.
6 years is to me 5 years too late already.
Right.
And then they had me lie and say that it was the accident when I fell chainsaw carving is the reason why the record didn't come out. They told me to lie. And that is a lie. It wasn't because I fell. It's because they didn't put it out. Mm. And it's like, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick. My brother died. Now I know what's important, and that's not to pander to people that are criminal. And Kenny Laguna is a criminal because he took from not only me, but Matt Sorm, because Matt Sorm produced this record, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Billy Corrigan from Smashing Pumpkins wrote a fantastic duet just for us to do. Slash and Duff have a song on the record, which Slash claims is one of his top 10 collaborations with me. We have the Veronicas on it, great Australian vocalist twins. And we have Brody Dahl, who is just fantastic, doing a duet with me on Queens of Noise. It is such a fantastic record. And I think that's why they shelved it. That's my belief. I have no clue. Like I said, we don't know our time. We don't know when our time is up. Would I like to do another record? I'd like to get this record out to the public is what I'd like to do. I've only been waiting 13 years now. I'd like to get this record I'd like to tour on this record, which I plan to do in the States, for Steve, Harkin, and for Ingram, who is putting it out worldwide. They deserve all my time, because to me they are knights in shining armor. They are the people that have come in, and and even Blackheart's charging them over $6 a CD. I mean, come on, it's grotesque.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, $6 is over. I think it's $6.25 or $6.50 a CD. That's wholesale. Charging them that.
Yeah.
I mean, they stole everything from me. They stole the movie, the idea that I could have, the movie would have helped this record. Mm-hmm. Only Joan benefited from the movie, not me, because they kept me away. They kept me away from any TV. They kept me away from any concerts. They didn't let me perform. I opened for her, and I did too good a job on stage is what happened.
Yeah.
Is I was competition for Joan Jett.
Right.
I was, because I don't know if you've ever seen the show, but you can look it up.
Yeah, I've seen
it. Yeah, at the Pacific Amphitheater. And I think that it was shocking. Even Kenny never even, being my manager, never even asked what I was going to wear. Funny, huh? No. I've written enough. I've written enough books. I think. Thanks, Danny. I've written enough books. I've got 3 versions of the book of Neon Angel.
How about adding some new chapters? There's so much things
going.
Well,
if somebody approaches me about it, then yeah, of course. I mean, it ends in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
I could certainly got more stories. That's for damn sure. Well, we had solved our problems, and I actually took care of him. I moved him into my house and took care of him towards the end of his life.
Okay.
Because the reason why is because I hated him so much. Well, he stole all of our money. He treated us terribly. And I really realized that it was eating me alive how much I despised this man. And I realized that it only hurt me. And at this point, I'm a mom. I've got a kid in his teens. And I thought, it just happened. I just saw him at a party, and I just said, let's talk. And we did. And you know what? He had a rotten childhood. He's never had children. He didn't know how to deal with 15, 16, 17-year-old girls, teenagers of all, He wanted us to be tough for the road. He knew we would need to, because there was only Susie Quattro. There was nobody else.
Yeah.
And he apologized profusely. He's a brilliant man. And all I know is that when he died, I loved him. And that I am so grateful for, that I had that. And trust me, he was bedridden. So we're talking bedpans, we're talking enemas I had to give him. Take care of him. And what a reversal, and he really enjoyed being in my home, and I enjoyed having him. I really did. And I miss him.
That's a good...
He was the most brilliant songwriter I've ever known. No, because Lita and Joan don't see eye to eye, and it's just, I've played with all the girls.
Yeah.
I've played with Lita, just in the last decade, Lita, Joan. I always played with Sandy, God rest her soul. Jackie, I've played with every member of the Runaways individually. And even Lita will say, oh, I can work with Cherie, of course. I mean, you know, I'm easy to work with. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
But they, you know, Lita hates Kenny Laguna. That's never going to change. And so I just, you know, I can't make people do anything. I really hoped it would happen, but now I absolutely believe it will not. Unless there's a miracle on Joan and Lita's side, which I doubt. But, you know, I mean, I can't control people.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because it could have been great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, Joan wanted to do it. Lita approached me and Sandy back in 1997 and had us get Joan on board. And Joan said, okay, let's do it. And Kenny went out of his way, got a record deal. We were going to book a tour. And then it's the first telephone conversation with all of us. Lita just went completely off the rails and said, no, I'm not doing this, because she hates Kenny so much.
Okay.
And the thing is it was like, oh, and then they made me call Lita, and Lita just said, I'm a household name. I don't need this bullshit. And I said, please do it for Sandy West, Lita. Do it for Sandy.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't.
Right.
And for that, I will never forgive Lita, because Sandy really, really could have used a boost. But, you know, people are selfish in this life. I don't know why people are so self-consumed and so selfish. But Lita was very selfish when she did that, and did not consider Sandy whatsoever. And here we lost her just, you know, 7 years later. No, she's wrong. It was her first. She brought it all together. She stopped it. And then Joan didn't want to do it. And then, you know, it's like, you know what, Lita? Lita was the one that started the whole thing. She should have followed through, but she didn't. And so, you know, she can't blame Joan for that. I mean, even though I'm not 100% on, you know, the rah-rah Joan fan club anymore, I call it the way it is. And Lita, really, she started it, we were there, and she walked. So she has no right to say anything anymore.